Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to my review of episode 4 of season 4 of Slow Horses titled Returns. The show opens with Lamb, Sam, Shirley, and Marcus in the car. Lamb wants to discuss the events that took place in Lyons, France, but Sam tells him he will discuss it with him when they get back to the office. We then follow Frank into a building with two security guards who make him go through a metal detector. Then he walks into a room, and we meet the person that ordered the assassination attempts of David Cartwright and Sam Chapman. Frank sits down and explains that the bombing in West Tigers didn't go as planned. It was supposed to be a quiet assassination in the parking lot, but it turned into a bombing. The guy that ordered the assassinations then tells Frank that he basically has no choice but to execute him so that word doesn't get out. But Frank explains to him that he's not the only one that knows. He says David and Sam also know about what's happening, so this crazy guy tells Frank that if he can get David and Sam killed by midnight, he can work for him. Frank agrees to get the job done. We then cut to the wonderful intro for Slow Horses. Lamb, Sam, Shirley, and Marcus then pull up at Slough House, and they see Diana waiting outside to speak to Lamb. Lamb walks over to Diana, and Diana says that Lamb lied to Flight about the whereabouts of David Cartwright. Diana then asks where River Cartwright is. Lamb says he is in France, retracing the assassin's steps. Lamb then reveals to Diana that he told the Flight that David was at Catherine's house. Turns out that Flight never told Diana this information. Diana leaves by saying if either of the Cartwrights show up, she wants to be the first to know. Lamb, Sam, Shirley, and Marcus then make their way upstairs where they meet Catherine, where she explains that she lost David Cartwright. He escaped from the safe house, and she reveals that he is on his way to speak to First Desk. We then see the attacker who tried to kill Sam in the last episode meeting up with Frank to discuss what happened last week. The attacker then explains to Frank that he couldn't get the job done because Sam had backup, and Frank grabs the shoulder that was hurt from getting hit by the car and tells him that he needs to get the job done or else they're all dead. The attacker agrees to get the job done. We then sit down with Lamb and Sam as Sam recalls the events of the job he did for David Cartwright many years ago. David sent Sam to France to deliver a vehicle full of money, weapons, and cold bodies to this group of mercenaries in exchange for a woman. Sam had no idea any weapons or money were stashed in the vehicle. David told Sam not to search the vehicle. Very strange if you ask me. Lamb then realizes that David is most likely going to the old First Desk location due to his mental decline, so they head there to investigate. Back with David now, we see that Lamb was indeed correct. He is heading to the old First Desk location. Back at the park now, we see Diana and Emma having a conversation where Emma reveals to Diana that Lamb misidentified the body back in episode 1, and it was indeed not River Wright who was killed. Diana then says how disappointed she is in Emma for her performance regarding this whole situation. Diana warns Emma that if she goes behind her back one more time, she is out. Diana orders Emma to find the Cartwrights immediately following this. Emma receives a call from the old building where they inform her that they have David Cartwright waiting to speak to the First Desk. Back with Lamb, Catherine, and Sam now, they are headed to the old office. It is then revealed that Flight is also on her way to get David. Back at the park, Claude informs Diana that he gave Ginny permission to check the archives again for any more cold bodies. Ginny reveals that she did indeed find another one, Adam Lockheed. They then connect the dots with Adam Lockheed or Bertrand being the one sent to kill David and Robert Winters being the one who bombed the West Tigers. Claude then says he'll debrief David and orders MI5 to be audited and to review the practices, then says their findings will be public. Diana then shoots this down and says what's more important is to prevent another bomb from going off. Ginny then comes back and reveals that Adam Lockheed is on his way back from France. But as we all know, this is actually River on his way back. River appears for the first time this episode on a train on his way back to London. Back with Lamb and the crew, they have made it to the old building, but the dogs are not far behind. Lamb sends Catherine and Sam to fetch David. They then enter, and Sam tries to convince David in his confused state to go with Sam. Catherine then sets off an alarm to create a distraction. The dogs then enter looking for David, but he has already escaped out the back door and gets in the vehicle. Lam then tells Sam to go get his flight fund and to let him know when he is safe. Emma and the dogs are then chasing after River because they know his train is about to arrive, and they need to catch him while they have the chance. River arrives in London and gets off the train, and is then spotted by Emma and the dogs. They then chase after River for a while, but River manages to board another train just before the door shut. By doing this, he manages to escape Emma and the dogs. Immediately following, we see Frank talking to the guy that is supposed to kill Sam and David. Frank is not sure how Emma and the dogs were able to get one step ahead of them when it comes to locating River. We see Sam on his way to the office to get his fight fund. He checks the cameras and sees that there is nobody in the building. As Sam enters the building, we see his killer looming eerily above him. Sam enters the office and grabs a chair so he can reach into the ceiling to grab his money. As he does this, we see his killer jump down, and he is waiting for him by the window. Sam goes over to the window and gets hit in the face with a weapon. The attacker really goes hard beating down Sam. We see lots of blood and hear lots of screaming. We leave Sam in the middle of this attack, and we are left unsure as to if Sam was killed or not. We are now back with River, and he has made it back to his grandfather's house. He manages to sneak in and heads upstairs to David's bedroom. River grabs a box full of pictures that David has kept over the years. He digs deeper into the box and finds the art that was on the walls in the compound back in France. What does this mean? What is David hiding? Who is the girl that was extracted from the compound in return for the money and weapons? I guess we'll have to wait and see. River then sees MI5 swarming the house, and they are on the hunt for him. They search the entire house, but River is nowhere to be found. They then leave after not seeing him. Turns out he was hiding in the attic. As he jumps down, none other than Emma is behind him, and they lock eyes, and that is how this episode fades to black. This was my review and recap of Season 4, Episode 4 of Slow Horses. I hope you enjoyed it, and I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel for more weekly recaps in the future. Thank you, and I'll see you next week for Episode 5.